Hi guys, welcome to today's video. We have some homemade nachos on the menu tonight. These smell so good, and I haven't had nachos in a little while. So I was really excited to make these. And then just things kept going wrong, but here I am and I persevered. So I have used Tostitos, a hint of lime chips. And then I used ground turkey for my meat. I did not have a taco seasoning pack in my pantry like I thought I did. So I just put some like random spices in, chili powder, some cayenne pepper, like garlic, onion powder, all that kind of stuff. I think it tastes fine. There is like a little bit of flavor, just not the taco-y like that I usually put on. And then I have some Tex-Mex cheese that I have melted on. And then I heated up some queso and I poured a little bit of that on. We have a little bit of lettuce, tomato, green onion. I have a bowl of sour cream here because I love sour cream. And I have a peach tea raspberry to drink. I need to dig in. My mouth is watering. And I'm so excited. And the chips burnt a little bit. That was like the other thing. I didn't have a taco seasoning and my chips burnt a little bit. I was like, it's fine. Everything's fine. I am still going to be eating nachos for dinner tonight. So, not everything has a ton of stuff on it, but I usually don't put queso cheese on. For those of you that are new, maybe you've never seen me eat nachos. I usually use a taco seasoning pack. And I don't usually put queso on. So I was just doing things a little bit different tonight. And I'm glad I did. Like Tostitos or like tortilla chips in general with queso is like one of my favorite snacks. So I'm really glad that I could incorporate. You see this tray? It's so lovely. I like made it a little circles, like with my sour cream in the middle. And that queso cheese is still pretty warm. Nachos is one of those things that I get messy with. I just bought this at the store. I've been craving like juice. And I love this raspberry. Love it. So good. So I asked you guys earlier this morning. I was like, I know I'm having nachos for dinner. Hanging out with you guys, but I wasn't sure like what to talk about. That Tex-Mex cheese is really good. That's the first time I bought that kind. It was in a brick and I had to shred it, which is totally fine. Excuse my grandma sweater too. I'm like cold and I wanted to be comfy. It's like my favorite. So yeah, so I asked you guys what to talk about. I know you guys don't usually care and I ramble on a lot about nonsense. But a couple of you suggested, one person suggested that I talk about how me and hubby met. And then someone else said some childhood memories. So I'm like totally going to do both. Honestly, we didn't really meet in a really exciting way. Well, we did, but like we didn't. We met through friends. This is a short story. But originally, Scott's from a different town. Like we didn't even grow up in the same town. We didn't go to the same schools. but he knew some people from where I lived, and he actually dated, and I say dated very loosely because we were like 12, a girl that I went to school with and hung out with. So I originally met him in like 7th grade when he was her boyfriend. Yeah. So I really couldn't have cared any less for him. I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, you have a boyfriend. Neato. And, it wasn't until a few years later that I was hanging out with my friends. And he knew people from around here because when he was a cadet, he did naval cadets here in like the town that we currently live in versus where he lived because they just like this core better. Oh my God. Why are nachos just always the best decision? They just are. So, he knew some people in town, and again, it was another friend of mine. But at this point, I was pregnant with Phoebe. So I really wasn't looking to date anyone, because I was like 8.5 months pregnant. But we were out, like, on a Friday night. We were just, like, hanging out. And, like, hanging out in my town was, like, cruising the main street with your friends in the cars. Like, just driving back and forth and, like, waving to people. And I don't know if anybody else did this. Like, what did you guys do on a Friday night? We would, like, park in, like, the Zellers parking lot and, like, all hang out. So one night he was with them. And I was like, oh, like, hey, like, hi. And we were, like, friendly. And we sat in the back seat together. But nothing obviously came of that because I was about to have a baby and he was 17 years old. So that's kind of how we met. And then after I had Phoebe, he messaged me on ICQ. Where are my ICQ like people at and fans at? He messaged me on ICQ, and it really was just sort of like, he was like, hey, like, remember we met, just wanted to talk to you. Like, he really wasn't, like, I don't want to say aggressive, but, like, I don't know, I find like sometimes teenage boys can be, like, aggressive, like, hey, girl, like, what's up, like, want to hang out? And that's not Scott at all. So I think he just wanted me to know that he existed, is basically it. So then we, like, chatted back and forth. And then I, like, really, like, I had a big crush on him. He had, like, this really, like, sexy goatee thing, which now I look back and I'm like, oh, God, why'd you have that thing growing on your face? Excuse me. But I loved that. So it wasn't until about, like, 2 years after the initial, like, message on ICQ or I don't know what it was. I'm pretty sure it was just ICQ. That was when we started, like, hanging out. We kind of did it secretly. My one friend knew that I was hanging out with him, but, like, not really anybody else did. Because, hi, I'm a girl, and I need to tell my friends, like, about the cute boy I'm talking to. And, like, it just slowly progressed from there. And then, like, even after we had our first kiss, not that we weren't, like, exclusive, but, like, we definitely, like, took it really, really slow. I had dated a couple guys, during our slow period. But we always reconnected. It didn't matter. Like, we just always managed to, like, want to come back to one another. And people would like try to, I would date people and like he would date some girls and people would be like, they would like tell our significant, they'd be like, don't even bother. Like, you're not going to be with them. Laura and Scott, they're a thing. We don't even mess with it anymore. They're not together, but they're a thing. And then, yeah, so then we started kind of just like seeing each other again. And we were dating, I would say exclusively, and I got pregnant with Jacob. Not like I was sleeping with a ton of guys or anything like that, but like, I just dropped my towel. Got it. Yeah, we got back together and then I got pregnant with Jacob and we honestly just like, that was kind of the beginning of our relationship. Like, we were like, okay, like I guess we have to like stay together now. Not in a bad way and not just because of Jacob, but I definitely think finding out that I was pregnant was just like, okay, yeah, this is a real relationship now. And like, that's it. That's how we met. I guess there's like more to it, but like, but that's a pretty short story of it. So then when I found out I was pregnant, he moved in with my mom and I and the kids. Because my mom was raising my niece by this point, or like, I feel like I've told you guys that before. Like, between me and my mom, we raised my niece. I didn't live with my mom for very long. I had moved out and I lived on my own. And then like almost right before Scott and I got back together and I got pregnant with Jacob, I had moved in with her because I was living with a roommate and it was like not a good situation. So I had to move out and I was like, Mom, I'm coming back to you until I can get another place. And obviously Mama was like, yeah, okay. And he proposed to me at the place that we had our very first kiss. Oh, sweetheart. It was a parking lot. But very sentimental. How cute is that? Where were you guys proposed to? Or did you propose? Or how would you like to be proposed to? He couldn't have done it any perfectly. Any more perfect. But yeah, so basically we lived in different towns and our friends introduced us and we just gradually just like became friends and slowly just got together and we have been inseparable. We've been married for 10 years this year. I'm kind of excited. Sorry, I was like blanking. I was thinking about something else. We've been married for 10 years this year. I'm excited for our 10-year anniversary. And we don't like 15. Jacob is just turning 14, so 15. So we've been together like for like 15 years, but we've really been together for like close to 18. With just like the on and off stuff. And I really think that that's like the best way for us to do it because I had to focus on Phoebe. You know what I mean? In reality. We were still young. We wanted to date like other people. Well, I did. Not in a slutty way again. But yeah. This cheese has like so much queso on it. I'm just like really excited. Holy macaroni, look at this one. She's full. Fun fact, not so fun. Jesse and I have talked about it before. Scott's friend Jesse, who I've had on, I hated him when we were younger. I thought he was the biggest. I don't even know. I just didn't like him. I didn't like his attitude. I didn't like how I thought he treated girls. I don't know. Just didn't like him. And now I'm like, I love him. He's my best friend. He's Scott's best friend, but like even today, he came and seen me at work today. He drove to town and like came and seen me at work. My scooter patooter. Teenagers. I have some pictures of us when we were like younger together too. It's crazy to see like how much we've grown. I think our first, like one of the first pictures we have together is when I was like, yeah, like 17 or 18. It was at my second apartment that I'd ever had. And he was going away on a training weekend. So he was like kind of in uniform. And I like didn't look great, but I was like, take a couples picture because we like hadn't had one. I'm like trying to, yeah, that's good. Anyways, that's how we met. And yeah, he used to just like drive down and see me and stuff. So cool. And childhood memories. It's so hard for me to pinpoint certain ones. But like if I'm having a conversation with someone, a lot of like memories can get triggered. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you guys ever find that? People like ask you certain questions and you're like, oh, I don't really know. But then like during a conversation, you can come up with like a ton of like random things to say. Do you know what I mean? But I just like, I don't know. I grew up in the country. I grew up with my 2 brothers and my 1 sister. I didn't know my other sister until I was 11. We didn't know that my mom had another daughter before she met my dad. She had given her up for adoption. So yeah, we didn't actually meet my other sister until I was 11. So that was fun. And we grew up in the country, and I just think that we were farm kids. We did chores. We went to the barn and did our chores. We went to church every Sunday. My dad was a long-haul truck driver, so he was rarely home. My mother worked as a part-time cashier at the grocery store. But I just remember things like in the summertime, we would swim in the creek. We picked rocks. We baled hay. We played in the barn. Like we played in the barn. We played with our animals. I rode after we got a horse. Like I was riding my horse and cleaning my horse and my sister's horse, but. I actually was going to do a video. I'm going to do a video probably on like how many times did I almost die as a child. it's not that many, but it's still like, you know what I mean? Like one time is too many. We snowmobiled in the winter time, which was so much fun. We literally slept. And now I can think of this one as an adult, and I'm like, as an adult, sorry, that came out, an adult. And I'm like, my parents were insane. But me and my sister, if my family, so I have like a lot of cousins and aunts and uncles, and my parents would like host these like barbecues. And after the barbecues, we'd have like a big bonfire and stuff, right? Excuse me. My sister and I would just go grab our blankets and our pillows and literally sleep outside next to the bonfire. And I like think about that now as an adult, and I'm like, coyotes could have eaten us. Like raccoons could have done, like we were in the country. And I was like, okay. I'm like, Mom, like why would you? She's like, you guys were having fun. Like don't think about it so much. Our pool, we did not have a pool. Actually we did. For like the last 2 years that we lived there, my family, like my parents finally just bought one of those like basic pop-up ones basically. What I was trying to say was the field, the field would flood in the wintertime, and that was our skating rink. And me and my sister thought we were figure skaters. We were just like, I don't know. It just was a lot of fun. I have a lot of childhood memories. We grew up on a lot of acreage in a beautiful stone house that was built in the 1800s, which now makes me really sad because that house sits destroyed. The people who bought the land after us used it for their like helping hands, and then after a while they just never used it, and people have gone in and just, it's sad. It's really, really sad because I feel like my parents, although they got divorced, they raised a beautiful family and we have so much memories there. My dad was born at that house. So it's just so crazy that like generations of a family lived there and now suddenly it's just stones on a land. It's still standing. They haven't torn it down, but it's definitely not safe to go into. But I would love to get somebody to stop. Made myself fucking emotional and started crying, which is totally fine because I'm like thinking about my childhood and how great it was. But it literally made me cry, so I had to stop for a minute. Anyways, I'm back, and these nachos are freaking delightful. But what was I saying? I do believe that my recollection of our childhood was, I was so young when my parents got divorced that I just feel like I didn't, I don't have the same memories as my two older brothers. But honestly, and this is not a negative comment towards my father, but I was young and he was a long haul truck driver, like I said. I don't really remember a lot of him being in my in it. So him being gone for long periods of time, like it was just it. So when my parents got divorced, I was like, okay, like what's everybody so sad about? But I had to remember that my one brother is 9 years older than me, you know, got a different part of my dad and stuff like that. So, but I just remember big, beautiful farmhouse. And I always got to hang out with my brothers. We would ride our bikes down the road. And my sister and I lucked out because our neighbors, and when I say neighbor, but like in the country, so like 3 city blocks away or 2 city blocks away, the girls there were our age. So we actually kind of had friends near us. So we would like bike to their house all the time. Yeah. Swimming in the creek was always fun. Or just doing anything in the creek. Creepy crawlies. I'm getting full. These are so good though. I think the queso has to just become a regular thing that I add to my nachos. Did you guys grow up in the country? Anybody, or let me know if you guys grew up in the country and they like you. And you just know what I mean by like just that freedom of being a country kid. Not that they're, because when we moved to town, my mom, I don't think she was like, yeah, like do whatever, thinking that like the city was sort of like the same for kids, and we just ran rampant around them. Not true. But we didn't have a lot of rules and regulations in the country because we were like always on our property. We didn't have cable. Like even Scott, we'll talk about TV shows and stuff. He's like, yeah, from when we were a kid. I was like, dude, I did not have TV until I moved to town. And I was like 12. Like there's a lot of like different things people are like, oh, you like didn't have, and I'm like, no. Scott just sometimes finds it because he's a city kid. So he like always had TV and cable and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, we had bunny ears and 3 channels and we were not really allowed to watch TV. My parents didn't want us inside. Whether it was like 30 degrees out or like negative 50. We always had something to do, I feel like. So good. Sorry I made myself upset, guys. You know, just like think about things that you just love in your life. And they weren't like sad tears. Just like emotionally happy tears. My sister and I would like empty the cow's trough, which is a giant water container for the cows. And we would fill it up for ourselves and swim in it. I think that's what my parents were like, okay, maybe we should get a pool. Just basically a giant bathtub. Oh, man. What's your favorite childhood memory? Let me know in the comments, guys. What just makes you happy? What makes you smile when you think of your childhood? I really hope everyone has a smile memory. Oh my God. Sorry, this video went like way longer than I thought it was going to. But nachos are just the best. Okay, I'm just gonna eat this one and that's it. Oh my God! They can't handle the weight. Thank you for asking me to talk about memories from my childhood, because it really is good and nice to go down memory lane every once in a while. Even if it does make you emotionally unstable. Anyways, thank you guys for hanging out with me. Sorry for being a little bit of a Debbie Downer, but I think that happens to the best of us when we're thinking about things that we just love and cherish and all those memories and all that good stuff. But you guys know I'm willing to open up and talk to you guys about a lot of things. My childhood is definitely, like I said, I think I have a different aspect, or I think I see my childhood a little bit differently than maybe my siblings do, because I was the baby, and Didn't really know about a lot that was going on. I just loved every minute of being with my family and growing up with them. Excuse me. But it has been a pleasure. I am going to spend the rest of my evening with my husband. I think we've picked out a movie we're going to watch. So, yeah. Okay, guys. Thanks for hanging out. I need to go and smoke a fatty to calm down. And I'm going to go do that. Okay, bye.